Why is it that no one knows what it costs to live comfortably in the Philippines? Welcome back. To my folks who have invested time here before, if you're a newcomer, this is Unpopular Tea. I'm Taj. I'm not here to win friends or be politically correct. My goal is to inform people based mostly on my personal experiences with some facts sprinkled here and there. By the way, I'd appreciate it if anyone watching this video would pay it forward to the next person that comes across this video and share what you found to be a comfortable monthly expense amount for you or you and your family. This question is like asking how much does it cost to live comfortably in the US or any country or city in the world for that matter. If we take the US for example, the cost of living in a place like Yemisi, South Carolina is going to be much different and more cost effective than a place like San Diego, California. Not only that, but the infrastructure in either location is going to impact how much a person may have to take into account for their move. They would have to plan financially in accordance with something like, let's say, transportation, if it isn't that accessible in a particular area, for example. The same is true about the Philippines. Generally speaking, is the Philippines more cost effective than a country like the US? In short, well, it very well could be. And we're gonna go ahead and examine some areas that could either make your money stretch or equate to around what you may be paying right now in your home country. First up, health. One of the first things I would urge you to consider is your health. Do you have any debilitating ailments, chronic conditions, history of family health concerns? If you fall into this category, this could have a huge sway not only on the cost to ensure the most optimal health for yourself, but where you may end up living, which of course plays a role in your cost of living. When doing a simple Google or YouTube search, you find the best hospitals in the Philippines are primarily consolidated in Manila and other large cities like Cebu City and Davao. Extending my search just a bit further, I found that these hospitals popped up at the top of multiple lists. And number one is St. Luke's Medical Center in Quezon City, Metro Manila. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Next is Makati Medical Center in Makati, Metro Manila. Then there's the Asian Hospital and Medical Center in Makati, and that's also in Metro Manila. And then the Manila Doctors Hospital in Manila. Notice a trend? Now, there are 20 hospitals that were consistent in my search. And of the 20, 75% of these hospitals are in Manila, and that's about 15, 10% in Davao, that's 2, another 10% in Cebu City, 2, and 5% in Laguna, only 1. Now, have you ever considered about moving to any of these areas? If not, definitely do some research, look into them, see if it's an area you can see yourself living in. Also, we can't forget about the cost of insurance. So for most foreigners, it tends to be international health insurance through companies like Cigna, Geo Blue, which is a Blue Cross and Blue Shield subsidiary, and Allianz, to name a few. The average cost of insurance is hard to estimate as it does depend on your coverage level and duration of the insurance plan that you select. No matter your budget, it's probably a good idea to live as close as possible to an adequate health facility if you're facing serious or chronic health concerns. By the way, for my people who are more so of like number crunchers, I will provide some numbers for certain topics throughout this video. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. And also in the description, I'm going to go ahead and leave some links to some of the topics that I'm speaking about so you guys can go ahead and start your own journey. Lifestyle. The reason why this is so important is because this may have a great deal on where you might want to live, your budget, and certain basic amenities you may be accustomed to now and would like to maintain. So, are you frugal or bougie? Are you an explorer, partier, or homebody? Are you a drinker or smoker, or a health nut? Someone who wants to be around more foreigners or locals? Are you here for the short term or long term? Consider the types of things you'd indulge in and check them out in whichever area you decide on. And you could also do what I do and take notes on the cost of different things in various establishments you'd like to go to or the different things that you'd like to do. But here's a short list. So these are rough estimates, but the cost of drinking here, like getting cocktails in the Philippines, is between like 300 to 400 pesos. In the US, maybe $12 to $16. Cost of smoking cigarettes, about 180 pesos versus like $8 to $10 in the States. The cost of eating out here is on average like 200 to 500 pesos, which can be more depending on where you go to eat, versus $18 to $30 in the US. The cost of cooking your own meals, well, that's always going to be the cheapest option, right? Now, the cost of traveling is between about 80 to 400 pesos here, and you can compare that to about 12 to 20 plus dollars in the US, and that is taxis, not airfare or anything like that. And the cost of staying at home, well, just your utility bills, of course. Next is location. So where are you gonna live? The $1 million question, right? Many people have their own way of figuring this out. For me, I have a friend that lives close to the area, so I decided to move here, and that made my decision pretty easy. So I did some research and I watched a ton of YouTube videos as well about the area that I was considering, and it seemed to offer everything I needed and more all across the city. So I pulled the trigger, bought my ticket, got an Airbnb, booked within a month and a half of finally deciding where I wanted to be, and here I am. So for you, this process could look completely different. Some people like to do their research, then spend 2 to 3 months at a time in each area that they're considering. Some people already have friends and relatives that live in areas they can visit and move around to check things out. Find what's going to work best for you. And keep in mind that whether you're planning on living in a city or a province, which is more rural, is the main decision you'll contemplate when moving to the Philippines. Each location comes with its own pros and cons. So again, think about your lifestyle and all that you would need to make your stay comfortable for you. As a snapshot, I'm going to go ahead and compare 3 major cities and 3 common tourist destinations here. So we have Manila versus Cebu. You would need around 153,000 pesos in Cebu to maintain the same standard of life that you can have with 180,000 in Manila, assuming you rent in both cities. Next, Cebu City versus Davao City. You would need around 145,000 pesos in Cebu to maintain the same standard of life that you can have with 130,000 pesos in Davao, again, assuming you rent in both cities. Davao City versus Manila. You would need around 137,000 pesos in Davao to maintain the same standard of life that you can have with 180,000 pesos in Manila, once more, assuming you rent in both cities. Next, Bohol versus Manila. Rent prices in Manila are 219% higher than in Bohol. Restaurant prices in Manila are 23% lower than in Bohol. Dumaguete versus Manila. Rent prices in Dumaguete are 61.2% lower than in Manila. Restaurant prices in Dumaguete are 29.6% lower than in Manila. Grocery prices in Dumaguete are 14% lower than in Manila. And lastly, Boracay versus Palawan. Rent prices in Puerto Princesa are 64.9% lower than in Manila. Restaurant prices in Puerto Princesa are 14.8% lower than in Manila. And grocery prices in Puerto Princesa are 22% lower than in Manila. Hope that helps. All right, now we have budget. The reason why this is lower on the list is because it's my belief that in order to know for sure what your budget is actually going to be, one should first experience the Philippines in a handful of areas they're considering, or just one area first to gauge their living and spending habits. You can do all the research you want beforehand, which I do recommend, but let's face it, reading about something is not the same as actually living it out. Also, savings play a big role here as well. I've seen it mentioned quite a bit that prior to settling here, a lot of expats would come with about 10,000 to 20,000 US dollars saved up just in case of emergencies. Now, I think this amount varies depending on how young or how old you may be, but I did find that a good amount of expats have agreed with the savings range. Comment below if you agree with the savings amount or if you feel it's too little or too much. So, I spoke with about 20 individuals, and this is what I gathered from speaking with them about their monthly spending budget. I may not go through this whole list, but let's go ahead and rattle some off. So one person said 1,300, another person 2,000 to 3,000 US dollars, another 2,000 to 3,000 US dollars, but really 2,500 US dollars is the sweet spot. Another person said $1,181. 65,000 pesos. Another 3,000 US dollars. Another person, 3,000 to 3,500 US dollars. So I'm not going to bore you with all the amounts that every single person rattled off, but what I can tell you is on the low end, it averaged about $1,601 per month to be a comfortable amount. On the high end, it was $3,333 per month. So you figure out what the sweet spot is for you, all right? And anyone who has knowledge about what budget has really worked for them since they've been here, again, go ahead and comment below and pay it forward to the next person watching this video. I appreciate it. Next, marital status. Are you single, married, planning to date? Being single, of course, is going to be the least expensive of the three and the most predictable. Then dating, depending on how much you want to engage in that. Then marriage. Now, you got to spend money to get the girl, is what they say. And just from looking around and keeping an ear to the ground, that statement seems like it holds a lot of weight. Now, in most cases, if you're not willing to put out financially, good luck trying to get a girl for a long-term arrangement. I spoke with a few of my female friends, and they explained to me that some of their friends and or associates who are dating foreigners typically require about 5,500 pesos per day, so about $100 per day, or $3,000 per month to keep the relationship fresh. Your experience may vary very differently from what I've just mentioned. Again, I'm just going by what my friends and people here are telling me. Seeing as how I've never been married, I'm a bit removed from the cost of caring for a significant other. However, I imagine it's like paying for yourself, but twice. Not only that, in my expat groups, I hear about how some of the husbands, they're giving money to their wives for her family, they're building her family's homes, and when courting her, also paying for other family members to eat out. I've never experienced any of this, but I have heard it enough to consider its validity. Just putting that out there. Next up is kids. So outside of housing costs and healthcare, if you have kids and intend to send them to school, this is going to be one of your largest expenses. I mean, in the US, I believe they estimate it to be raising a kid to age 17 is about $250,000. So there's a lot of money involved there, right? This was kind of hard for me to put together because I was only given ranges when researching this topic, but I'll share it with you just to get you going, and you can take it from there and figure out whatever you need to figure out once you've found a location that you actually want to live in. For grade school, I found a private grade school. I found the range to be anywhere between 30,000 pesos to 100,000 pesos. For grade school on the public sector, it said that the tuition was free, but there is a cost for books, which is about 10,000 pesos, lab fee 5,000 pesos, uniform 5,000 pesos. I saw that high school was anywhere in between 45,000 pesos all the way up to 150,000 pesos, and college between 50,000 pesos and 300,000 pesos per semester. So again, I urge you to do your own research here, talk with friends or any other expats that you know that have kids so you can get some hard down facts. I wish I could have supplied that for you today, but I don't know a lot of expats that have kids here or like raising kids here. So that's my bad, guys, but I'll do better next time. And just like that, that's all I got for y'all. I hope you were able to find some value in anything that I covered here today. I'd love to hear about budgets that have worked for you all below in the comments. I appreciate y'all for showing up. Till the next time, it's Popular T signing off.